Welcome to Rhythm and Roads, everyone. I'm your host, Joshua Jacob. We have a very special guest. We have director T for the film I Identify as Me, showing at the Femme Frontera Film Festival here in El Paso, Texas this weekend. So, welcome, T.
Thank you. I'm happy that it's really exciting to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on, as well as the festival. So, congrats on the film being shown at the festival.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, let's get into your journey as getting to know you as a director. And what else do you do? Are you a writer as well, an actress?
No, I'm not an actress. I'm actually, I mean, I guess to lump it all in one, I'm an educator.
Okay.
So my 9 to 5 is in higher ed.
Oh,
I,
okay.
I've been doing that for like 15 years, and
Whoa, 15
yeah,
years. Congrats on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I really enjoy it. And I'm not an educator in like I feel like the traditional sense. I think that kind
Okay.
of shows, through like the film work that I do, and just the projects that I do, is that like so yeah, really just like that's just like kind of what I that just really speaks to me. It's my passion. It's my purpose.
Okay.
I'm a truth seeker. Like so. Um, that kind of like goes into being like a documentarian,
Hmm.
and I finding my way into film was not, I think, the traditional route. I didn't go to film school or anything like that, but it's been quite a journey.
Oh,
So
I bet. I bet. I want to know this journey too.
yeah.
So,
So I mean, really, I mean, honestly, like, and we'll talk about identify as me, but I just found myself in it accidentally. In general, like, in addition to like being like an educator, like I've just always been really creative, wanting to bridge, like, just like entertainment with education, because
okay.
I feel like you have like 5 seconds to get people's attention. So it's like, it's like, okay, how can we like, how can you like bait and switch people in a sense of like, it's like, oh, like, bring you in with the entertainment, but like when you lead, you're going to learn something.
Yeah.
And I was always like kind of being really good at that. But
Cool.
like, yeah, I fell into film work just because like I wanted to educate people, specifically in terms of like gender fluidity, and found my way doing that, thinking in a very naive way in 2017, like, yeah, like I'm just going to do a documentary because it's so easy. And So that's honestly like how like I just kind of found my way into filmmaking, is just like taking like the fact that I'm an educator, and like I do also have like production background,
Oh,
but then also like bringing the right people onto the team,
right. Yeah.
to actually have like gone to school for filmmaking and know all the technical stuff,
Yeah.
to be able to like produce what we have now. So.
Interesting. All right. Gee, so from being an educator to a director, well, I'm curious to know, how did you learn to be a director? By
um,
friends? I mean, like, how did you get that experience?
I mean, like that's actually a really good question. So like, I mean, being a director, I mean, like, I feel like, I mean, I've always been like a leader, like, like I've always like, I've always been someone who like even like in my 9 to 5, I spearheaded projects and like worked with people, um, and so, I mean, I will say that like, one, being a director is like knowing how to lead.
Yeah. Right.
And when I say lead, I don't necessarily mean like being in front of people. Like it's like being with people, and
Mm.
like being able to like identify people's strengths and like helping them to see their strengths,
Right.
to push them to be a leader.
Mm.
And so like I feel like, that's one, like how to be a director. Like I think that like
Yeah.
it's really just like allowing people to step into their best selves, but also like guiding them to that. So in terms of like the technical aspects of it, like yes, I had to learn that. Actually, like so I'm not the only director on the film.
Oh, okay.
Monique Monell. She is the other director of I Identify as Me. And one, like having to understand like the authentic story of like the people that's going to be presented. I'm femme presenting, like, and all the cast members are,
Yeah.
like this is predominantly about like masculine presenting and gender fluid women and people. So like I authentically don't live that life day to day.
Mm.
And I thought it was very important to have another director who is making executive decisions with me who has that lived experience. So like Monique is in the film as well as that she's also the other director with me. So there's that. But I think also too, like in terms of like the technical aspect, like just making sure that like we're surrounded by team members who they already have that experience and like,
Right.
like and me honestly just being transparent and saying, listen, like I'm not a traditional director. I don't really know what I'm doing. And making sure that the team it's a collaborative effort. So not just saying like, well, this is my vision, this is what we're gonna do.
Mm,
It's more like leaning on the team and saying, okay, like so these are my ideas, but like what do you guys think?
mm.
This is like kind of
Like
like
that.
this is like the creative part of it. How could we get to this part in a
Right.
technical way? So it's a very collaborative effort throughout the entire process.
That's good. I like that you're like that. You're not just like, all right, this is what I want. It's going to be done. I like that you're like, oh, hey, this is what I like or would like. What do you think? That's cool because you like to collaborate with other people's mindsets, their ideas. I think that's very important to have that. So, thanks,
Yeah.
T, for sharing that.
Yes.
I know that was the surprise question, but it wasn't. I was like, should I need to stick to the question list that I sent? But that was a great answer, though. You had a great answer. So,
Good. Thank you.
yeah.
Thank
All
you.
right. So let's get into your film, I Identify as Me. So, what's the story behind that film?
So yeah, so I identify as me. It really kind of started off as a love letter, kind of to like someone I was involved with at the time.
Love letter? Okay.
Yeah, like in a way, like isn't that why we do things that we've never done before is for love.
Right.
But but no, like it was really I was involved with someone who we had known each other for 3 years. We had
Okay.
been friends. And it was like and basically that entire time, I knew they were masculine presenting, but I thought they identified as a woman. And then, as things moved along and I personally began to learn about gender fluidity and like genders beyond the binary, I was like, oh, like because I had actually seen the Trans List, which is like an amazing documentary.
Okay.
And I got to see it, I think, like shortly after it premiered. I saw it at like a museum, and I remember like just like learning of like they touched on that. They touched on gender fluidity and how in pre-colonial times, like many of our Black and Brown ancestors, like gender did not exist. Like the actual binary is a social construct
Mm.
created by Europeans. So I was telling them about this, and I was like, I didn't even know like about like non-binary people, and then they literally just said to me in that moment, I'm non-binary,
Mm.
and we'd known each other for 3 years.
Wow.
Why am I just hearing about this? And I wasn't like mad. I wasn't like upset
Yeah.
at them. I was mad at like our community, like because like I feel like in 2017, Black and Brown people were not talking about gender fluidity. They
Okay.
were not talking about like you know genders beyond the binary, and I was hearing a lot of non-Black and Brown people saying that, but I wasn't hearing us saying that, and so that made me really sad. That made me sad that like we did not feel comfortable expressing like being, a gender that wasn't male or female.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like that was like the initial inspiration. But as I've gone through the journey with Monique, the other director, the cast members, our crew, I've actually realized that I think indirectly it was a love letter to myself because I've actually learned through all of that and learning and educating myself on all of this that although I present as femme, I'm not high femme. I never fully felt like what a woman is supposed to be like. And I was able to, now I have language for
Mm.
how I feel about myself. So,
Interesting.
yeah, that's kind of how it came to be.
The love letter to yourself. Wow. And it's very interesting how that one person brought that idea to you from an experience that just really shook your world, right? To the point of wanting to do that. Wow. You want to share a little bit more on like just the journey it's been from when you first did the project to wait, was that the next one? Oh, that wasn't the next question, but we have some time, so hope you're open to questions I didn't send you. But
Yeah, yeah.
I was just gonna ask you like the time frame from you starting this project to where you finished. Like, what was the time frame like? Like, how many years it took to make this?
Um, oh wow. Well, it took, so we started in 2017 and we produced the film, we released the film in 2021. So,
Oh, wow, that's some few
so
years
quite a bit
there.
of time.
Yeah,
Yeah, it was definitely, and honestly, it was, I mean, I think doc documentaries take a long time in general. They take a long time in general, especially when they're independent,
yeah,
because no one knows about your idea. Like no one knows about your idea. No, you know, especially if you're a first timer, no one knows
mm,
who you are. No one knows if you can actually produce.
yeah,
But also too, um, our I feel like you know it's kind of strange now because I feel like now like I see so much in the media about gender fluidity and talking about like um genders outside of the binary, but in 2017 that was not a thing. Like that was not
wow,
a mainstream
yeah,
conversation that was happening. So that in itself made like creating Identifies Me very difficult because even within the community, like LGBT folks didn't want to talk about gender. Like
mm,
that was like the taboo thing like, at that time that like it's like and even though like you know we have cast members that are trans,
yeah,
they don't identify as male or female. So
okay,
like again, it's another like wait, that's we don't know what we don't understand that. We don't really
mm,
want to so that was like that was definitely a challenge, you know. And I think that was partially, you know, like what kind of took so long, but also honestly divine timing. Like, you know, like everything happens for a reason. And
very
I'm
true.
actually really glad that it didn't come out immediately when we had wanted
Okay,
it to. And like, you know, because we just went through like, you know, we were able to because again, just like learning, like even though initially Monique I brought on Monique at the time. You know, at that time, I identified as cisgender. So it's like two cisgender women leading this project. But it's like, okay, but we did I freeze? I think.
no,
Okay.
you're good.
But as Monique and I continued the journey and we learned, we realized like, no, if we are going to have cast members who are trans and non-binary
Hmm.
or gender non-conforming, then we need another person who's making executive decisions with us to also to also like be here so that like on the back end of things. So like that's how we brought on our post-production supervisor, Lay
Yeah.
Como. And like, you know, Lay has, I mean, honestly, like just opened and expanded our thought process of how we needed to complete Identifies Me.
Mm.
And then like literally like right at the end, when we were looking for an editor, we brought in Chelsea, who is our editor. And I mean, Chelsea just like took our vision and just made it what it is. Like
Wow.
literally, like even like the scoring on the music, Chelsea. Like she just like we met her and like we knew like immediately like she was the editor. And then it was funny because we were doing like oh let's just do like a test run
Yeah, yeah.
because even though it's a short at the time, Monique, Lay, and I had talked about making it a feature.
Okay.
We're like, okay, let's just give Chelsea a test run. And we're just like, oh, she's the editor. Like,
You're like, yep, let's bring her on. That
yeah.
was it. That's
Mm-hmm.
cool. Very cool. Wow. Well, thanks for sharing that. I do want to ask you, during the journey of you making this film, I know there's probably a lot of great moments, but what was one of your most memorable experiences making this documentary?
Mm. Oh, there's so many.
Just
Making.
think, just just real quick. Doesn't have to be.
Um, there's a, I mean, there's a lot in terms of making it. But I will say what comes to my mind immediately, it was
Yeah, yeah.
actually not making it. It was actually at a film festival that I went to in Chicago.
Okay.
It was a social justice film festival. I believe, oh my time is weird now. 2023, 2022. I can't
Okay.
remember.
Not
It
too
was,
long ago. Yeah.
but why I bring up that film festival is because that was the first film festival that we were showing Identify as Me that was not specifically geared to LGBT. Um,
Oh, okay.
that film festival was social justice.
Oh, all right.
And so, um, you know, and I was asked to, like, I flew out there, I was asked to speak on the panel, and
Wow.
I didn't know, and like, and now, and then now, like, gender is now more in the media, like, what's happening, what is happening to trans people, like all of this began to start coming to the surface in mainstream media.
Right.
Like,
Right.
as a community, we knew attacks on, we understood and knew the attacks that was happening on trans people, but that was not in mainstream media. And not just trans people, but the community as a whole.
Yeah.
So, but also still people not fully understanding what that means, right? So, um, why I bring up this specific instance is there was a gentleman, an older Black gentleman on the panel who's a filmmaker, who actually he kind of like, I kind of noticed as we were talking that he was a little triggered by the film, and he actually did at during questioning, he actually did say he was triggered, but not in a bad way.
Oh,
Said that it allowed him to realize that um, he needed to do some self-reflection in
oh,
terms of understanding gender and but understanding people
right.
and realizing that, like, the cast members that he was seeing on the screen, like, because our cast, the cast talks about their life. Like, it's not just about our sexual orientation. It's not just
Right.
about gender. It's about who we are as people.
Right.
And he actually said out loud, like, he's just like they're just like me. And it's like in that moment, he realized that. And like, I mean, and like, and it was just like, I'm like, and it was such a beautiful experience
Yeah.
because it's like, that's the point. Like, like we're like, yes, we're all different. We have different
Yeah. Yeah.
intersectionalities, but we're all humans. We're all human
Yeah.
beings.
We're human.
We're more alike than we are different.
Right.
And I feel like the mainstream media, in terms of, really talking about, like, in terms of like the LGBT community, and they put us in like this way of like, oh, they're different. They're not
Mhm.
like us. You're like, and it's
Yeah.
like, you know, who, like, the only difference is like who's in our bed or the gender we identify. Like, I'm not
Right.
understanding
Yeah.
why, like, like why this is such a big thing. Like, we're still human beings.
Right. Of course.
And so it was just really beautiful, one, for that older man to realize this, but
Yeah. To
also
realize it.
to admit it publicly.
Oh.
So yeah, so that's the memory.
Hey. Well, thanks for sharing that memory. So, how many film or festivals have the film been in?
Um, I don't know the exact number, but I believe like 23, 24.
23, 24?
Yeah,
Really?
yeah, and we
Wow.
won 3 awards.
3 awards?
Yeah,
That's awesome. Jeez, that many festivals. That's awesome. And then plus this
yeah.
one coming up.
Yeah, no, like we've been very grateful, and like just so grateful for like all the festivals that have featured us.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely it's been
So
really
cool.
exciting. It's nice to, something that, I feel like we all talked about, and then like to see it like on a big screen, and for the
Yeah,
cast themselves to see themselves. It's been a really beautiful journey.
I bet. Yeah, and that's the thing about filmmaking is you probably remember it going from the start of looking forward to starting, and then you go through the journey of the timeline of it, of the whole production, and then towards the end, you're like, God, it's over already. And it's like, but that's the thing, you always look forward to what's coming next.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to ask you, what is coming next for T?
So, glad you asked that question. So actually, we are turning "I Identify as Me" into a docuseries.
Oh, a series. Okay. Very
Yes.
cool.
Yeah. I mean, like, we, as a team, we realized that we have more to say. And I think, the political climate has also really lit a fire under really just wanting to educate everybody, but
Okay.
especially Black and Brown people. Like, I mean, like, I feel like, we as a people, like as the global majority, we are so disconnected from like our history before colonialism.
Mm,
Like, and like I feel like we obviously we learn the history that we learn in school, but like there is another truth. There's another truth
right.
that is not accessible. And we in terms of like specifically like gender, we want to take the opportunity to like, okay, like people really like identify as me. They really enjoyed the short. Let's expand that. And I think that I think it's just very relevant. The conversation is very relevant right now, and I just think this is the time for us to do that deep dive into getting into the history and the
Yeah.
truth of gender before colonialism, and being able to share that with the world, just so that like everyone, and it's not about like changing people's minds, it's not about like challenge, it's not about challenging people's beliefs, it's about like showing people like this is the truth, like this is the truth, and you can still live your life how you want to live it. Everyone has the right to live their life how they want to live their
Right.
life. I'm like, but this is a truth that we need to talk about. We need to talk about and we need to know about. Because what we're being fed isn't the complete truth.
Mm, wow. And when you started this series?
So we're working on it. We're in research and development. I mean, obviously, like, our life, everyone's life, we're busy,
Yeah.
and then, I had a big life transition in the last year. So, and then I just think that, in general, like, I think activists everywhere, it's right now is just a hard time. It's a hard time to, having to juggle and see what's happening in the world, even if it's, a group, it's people who are not you,
Okay.
like directly experiencing it. Like I feel that like regardless of if you are directly experiencing what is happening in these times, we like it affects us. It affects me. Let me
Yeah.
not project.
Yeah.
It affects me because like I am an educator. I work with people of all backgrounds, so I'm seeing what's happening on a day-to-day basis, and it's really sad and it's draining. And so just trying to move through that. But we're working on it.
All
It's
right.
happening.
In due time, hopefully later this year, you guys can start
Yeah, I mean we've started, like we have started, and we started like
like
talking with
filming it.
producers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh,
So
you have. Okay.
yeah, and we definitely have started. It's just a matter of getting the pitch deck together and the sizzle
Okay.
together. So
All right. Cool. Well, thanks for sharing that.
thank you.
Well, here's a surprise question. Now, it's a little aside from film, but knowing the podcast is also called Rhythm and Roads, but Rhythm. What music artist do you like?
Oh, yeah, that is a
Or
surprise one.
what's your top artist that you've been listening to lately?
Honestly, I mean, I'm gonna say Kendrick Lamar. Like
Oh,
Kendrick is a musical genius. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like it's this is
yeah, yeah.
I won't spiral, but like I grew up in the South, and I didn't necessarily grow up um being in an environment where I leaned a lot into like my blackness. So like I was never like really into like hip hop and rap music growing up.
Oh no? Okay.
But only very recently, like I've gotten really into it. And like, I feel like most people, we kind of like know about like the Drake and Kendrick,
Yeah, yeah.
like rap battle. And so that's how I kind of learned about Kendrick.
Oh, cool.
And I just like really like got into his music. Like so I'm like listening to like all his stuff from like,
Yeah.
well before the rap battle. And but yeah, like he's just amazing. Like I think like he's a genius. Like his like the way he is able to just like his just like he's just a lyricist. Like he's a true lyricist. Like it's not just for like fame.
Mm,
Like he really loves the art
mm,
of it. And I really just respect that. I respect him as like not just like, an artist, but just like as like a creative. Like, like I feel like, he's just like, he's really in it for the culture.
mhm.
And I think for me, as someone who like I did not grow up being immersed in my culture and
Okay.
being able to kind of like lean into his music. Yeah. But and I also love that he when he talks shit. So
Well, actually, one cool thing is I went to Las Vegas this past weekend on Saturday, and he was actually performing at the Allegiant Stadium. Yeah, so
Your
I mean, I
sister?
didn't go see him because I went to go see Janet Jackson instead.
Oh, okay. I'm so jealous. I am
But
jealous. I wanted to go see him in SZA, but those
oh,
tickets are high. So I was like, maybe next time.
yeah, yeah. But I remember how packed it was at the Strip, the Vegas Strip, just because there was a lot going on. But of course, the concert with Kendrick. So well, cool. Well, good choice.
Thank
I know
you.
that's the prize question. For the followers to find you, or the followers, the viewers to find you on social media, how can they keep up with you?
Yeah, so definitely I identify as me, like it's that exact hashtag on Instagram,
Okay.
TikTok, yeah, pretty much anywhere, like almost any like social media platform. Me personally, my IG is Tina.Colleen. Kind of transitioning out on people usually know me as Tina.Colleen, but I'm transitioning to T these days. But that's where people can find me personally. Also, I have a production company that's actually who that produce Identify as Me, People of Color Productions.
Oh,
So,
okay.
if people can also find like some of my other work. If you type in People of Color Productions on the website will come up, or on social media, the hashtag is POC Productions.
So it's People Color Productions?
People of Color Productions, yeah.
People of Color Productions. Very cool. Wow. How long have you had this production?
2018. It was
Wow.
I Identify as Me inspired it. We were working on I Identify as Me, and I actually went to business school. So like,
Oh, you did. Very
and
cool.
it's funny. For years, people are like, "You should start your own business," and I was like, "Okay, but what am I going to do? There's so much. Like, I'm not going to do what everyone is doing." And then like just working on the film. I was like, well, one, like I was like, I'm spending my personal money right now. So I should just start an LLC. Like,
Yeah.
so I'm spending my personal money on like film expenses.
Wow.
So yeah, and it just kind of came to me. So
Very cool.
yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, T, for coming on Rhythm and Roads during the Femme Frontera Film Festival interview series. And congrats on your film being shown at the festival. You said it was June 8th or 7th?
Honestly, I don't have the dates right now.
Oh, you
I'm kind
don't? Okay, that's fine.
of
I mean, they'll post it. Yeah.
yes.
No, but yeah, congrats on that. It's awesome
Thank
that
you.
it's been showing over there.
Thank you so much.
But yeah, and all right, guys. Well, thank you for watching on this episode, and we will look forward to our next guest coming on. Thank you, T.
Thank you again.